But just to run through some of the issues that have been raised here, of course, we have the issue of Jubilee leaders who were dressed in what is called, or what is being termed as military wear. And that, of course, has raised issues. What is the messaging behind that kind of wear? Irungu Kangata, maybe you would be one to let us know. We also have the issue of a gathering that took place, I believe it was on Sunday in Lakisama, where there were prayers, and it ended up being disrupted by others who felt that was not right. Again, this coming to the fore. We also have Nelson, who says that the body language of the president when he met with Chair Wafula Chebukati is telling that possibly he was not for the meeting. But as I bring it back to you, panel, the question is, will we forever be looking at things from the eyes of NASA or from the eyes of Jubilee? Is there a time we can speak as Kenyans where wrong has been done, we admit and say this has been done and it's not correct, despite the fact that it's from your political divide? Or does it always have to be a defense of when things are right or wrong, just by virtue of the fact that you either Jubilee or NASA or whatever political party? Over to you.
All right, let me begin with you, Senator Karato.
Caller number one is talking of what we call ethnic militias. I do not support establishment of ethnic militias. I would even urge the police to arrest any person who is masquerading as a militia on behalf of my community, from where I sit. So therefore, I don't support anyone masquerading as an ethnic militia. It is the work of the police to keep peace. It is not the work of private citizens to do so. That's number one. However, we should not bastardize our traditions. We should not bastardize people having dreadlocks. I think that is what we call my dress, my choice. Surely, this idea where we only give kudos to people who are clean-shaven and you don't have respect to the traditionalists, I don't belong. That is neocolonialism, which I cannot be party to. Be that as it may, I think it is the work of the police to keep peace. Now, the issue of dressing, which has been raised by several callers. It is true, we have what we call protected clothing. The one, for instance, that is worn by police or even army. However, what I have seen so far does not fall under that category. It is true, it's quite a thin line. I can tell you, for instance, there were several instances, Joho, I have seen him wearing things which appear like military fatigue. He has never been arrested. I have seen Ababu when he was in ODM wearing such fatigue and was never being arrested. So this idea of saying that, no, it is only maybe people who are saying they are supporters of Jubilee who are wearing this uniform who should be arrested. No, 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 no. This is a fashion. It does not fall under that category. I have also seen several ODM politicians wearing such uniforms, which are purely, you can easily obtain them in the Mutumba industry. Then we have the so-called Chinkororo. Yes, I support you, my caller, my brother. Chinkororo is a harmless cultural group. And just like the way we have Moran, I have no problem with Chinkororo. Then there's also this other caller talking of envoys, Mr. Madenge in Mombasa. No, we must appreciate the role that has been played in this country by the so-called industrialized societies. They are the one who helped us to kick out single-partyism. They are the one who have been funding our electoral process. If at all we think we are so rich, we should as well not be going to beg from them. So once they give us money, surely they also expect for us to have some level of accountability. So on that score alone, I think they are entitled to give their views. And by the way, when you look at their tone, when you look on what they said, they castigated the opposition, because it is the opposition which wants us to violate the Constitution. Right. It is not us. Right. Now, well, sorry, you must give me time to answer. The final issue from Fatuma in Eldoret, yes, I concede anyone who is violating the law of Fatuma in Eldoret, yes, should be arrested. But one of the problems that I am realizing, which may be making Kenyans probably to think it is us who are on the wrong, it is the thing that is being perpetuated by the media, including KTN. You have become very partisan. We have what we call editorial policy. Editorial policy guides a newspaper or even a television station in how they choose stories, how they phrase their language. And from my own observation with the KTN, which is my favorite news station, it is clearly, it has been NASWAD. It is perpetuating a NASA agenda. I say that because, for instance, yesterday, I saw after the envoys, after they have given their statement, when the matter shifted to the anchor, the choice of words, you could tell very clearly this is a NASWAD anchor. And several other instances. Right. I urge you people to be neutral so that Kenyans can know the truth and also highlight the fact that the opposition are proposing for something extra-constitutional. Right. That is not being sufficiently
and that goes back to Mike's question, whether, there will be a time where we stop looking at things from a NASA or Jubilee lens, because, I mean, as an employee at KTN, I'd like to say that we're very objective most of the time,
I agree. You are
Senator.
not.
But let's hear from you, Senator Ladama, your response to the callers this morning.
No, I can give you, sorry. One question. For instance, yesterday, you interviewed Kipchumba Murkomen, right? Yesterday, between 8 and 9, I was watching.
Yes, on the big story.
Isn't it? But immediately after Kipchumba stopped talking, what did you do? You brought two pro-NASA panelists alone. Surely, is that fair? Why is that fair? Why do you bring just Kipchumba for some few minutes, then you bring ACK Bishop of Nyanza, you bring Jojo Moe, a civil society there, they discuss, they drag their agenda, who is there to defend Jubilee? That's very unfair.
One second. I think, first of all, let me just correct my good friend, Senator Kangata. Last week, you and I were invited to this panel. You never showed up.
Fine, that's my mistake.
And
that's my mistake, I concede.
Number two, which you should also concede very fast, is that two wrongs don't make a right. You've given examples here and said that, oh, you saw Ababu Namamba when he was in ODM wearing clothes which were military-like. Does that really now justify, when we're in such an emotive period, for Jubilee legislators, Jubilee supporters to go on wearing military clothes, for Jubilee supporters to march in the streets wearing American military clothes? Where does that place us? And actually, I think it is wrong for you to attack KTN because, to be honest with you, someone might attack another media house and say you are focused in a certain way. Yesterday, we saw the president giving an interview to just one particular region, all the radio station from that particular region. So let us not divide this country. And I can tell you that if we proceed, and this goes to the question that Gitonga asked, if we proceed with this election, currently, there's no way we are going to look at ourselves different from NASA or Jubilee. Let us be factual. At this particular time, I will look at myself as NASA, but of course I have the interest of this country that I love so much at heart. But we cannot be united by force. We cannot be united by coercion, And facts are very stubborn. It is factual that the late Minister Saitoti gazetted in October 2010 Chinkororo and Mungiki as terrorist groups. In fact, Matiang'i should have been reading from the script of his predecessor. So really, what we ought to do is that right now we should be calling upon all Kenyans to stand firm. We've got a country that we love and we must protect. And in my view, which I'm entitled to it, I currently do not see it feasible for us to have an election on the 26th because we are divided. The callers, the four callers who called, all of them raised concerns. They said they are scared. If Kenyans are scared, okay, and sometimes when you look at the gap between the rich and the poor are the ones who end up being hurt the most.
Right. Allow me to pause you there and ask you this question, because that's where I want us to basically find out what your take is on this. And the 26th is only a day away. Should the elections continue, NASA's standpoint is that there's going to be the biggest of all demonstrations on that day, which could twiddle down to violence. Is that in the best interest of Kenya in terms of peace? Because lives may be lost. Is there a different approach that we can take to ensure if the elections do continue as they look like they could, then violence is something that we do not want as this country?
Gitonga, I want to reiterate this, and very strongly, that there's no way we are going to go on with this election because we are divided. That is number one. There's no way we are going to go on with this election because when you look at the reducible minimums, which we deduced from the Supreme Court decisions, they have not been met. That is number two. Number three, we cannot go on with this election because the security minister himself, who is supposed to be neutral, is partisan. You cannot go there and you say, I'm terrorist number one. You know, he said, I'm Chingororo number one. And his predecessor, Saitoti, gazetted Chingororo as a terrorist group. So you cannot go there and say that. You know, we have a political crisis. We need to get a political solution to this crisis. Kenya is very, very important. And I call upon every Kenyan who believes in the rule of law not to vote on the 26th.
All right. Okay. Let's wind up the show now. Let's hear your closing comments, Senator Kangata.
You have to give me my closing.
And I think as you put, Senator Kangata, to be fair, KTN, you're claiming that we are biased, but you're here on KTN right now. We've given you a platform as Jubilee to come and speak and tell us what Jubilee stand is, yet you say we're unfair. I don't think that's fair from you as well.
This is an exception, I can tell you. You have to look, when I'm making that conclusion, I'm looking holistically. I look at how you program, what kind of, what kind of panelists you call them, or how much time do you afford each. How much time do you afford each? Of course, I have to take that into account. And I've given you a good example yesterday. You call a Jubilee senator, our majority leader, you give him about 5 or 10 minutes. But the
well, you've been given a fair platform right here. But anyway,
yes, for here, fine, I agree.
Yes,
for here, fine, I agree. But yesterday, from what I have seen, or for instance, you fail to ask probing questions as to how NASA can make a proposal that is in clear breach of the Constitution.
All right,
I even saw you anchor the kind of question. Your reporter was asking the diplomats yesterday. Surely you must tell Kenyans the fact is.
All right,
the NASA's proposal, the proposal by NASA has no legal standing at all.
We're out of time. Let's have your closing comments on the conversation.
So the point is, number one, the proposal by NASA of adjourning the elections has no legal backing at all. It doesn't. Because it is not us who went to court and obtained that judgment, not us. In fact, we are the aggrieved party as a party. We are not happy with that court order. But what do? We are compelled again to go to the election. I thought Raila Odinga could have taken advantage of that. He won. But immediately he got that court order, he did not even campaign. Surely he had some certain demands. That's fair. But surely I would have thought, yes, I've obtained a court order. At least you start campaigning. But it's clearly it was a trap he set for the court. I'm 100% sure if a new case is filed before the Supreme Court by Raila Odinga, he cannot win. Because now the Supreme Court has realized it was purely a trap. They just wanted Kisingizio, so that using that now court order, they can cause chaos.
All right. Thank you, Senator. Very briefly, Senator Ledama.
I would like to urge Kenyans that we are in a very tumultuous period in the history of this country. And I would like to request that every Kenyan who believes in the rule of law not to vote on the 26th, because we are so divided. We've got a lot of issues which are facing this country. In fact, I am really saddened that my people of Narok County, especially the people of Kimindet Ward, are today suffering. Yesterday, other people were killed. The Maasai community and the Kipsigis community are one. And instead of us focusing on things which are continuing dividing us, we should be looking for solutions that can be able to solve our problems. It is wrong for my dear good friend Senator Kangata to suggest that if indeed anything proceeded and went back to the Supreme Court have realized that they were conned. The truth is, the terms and the words used by the Jubilee Brigade, led by Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta and William Ruto, were meant to instill fear into the judiciary. And I want to request the judiciary to stay firm as one of the other arms of government and to be completely neutral and only do what is right with the rule of law. And finally, I want to call upon President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto. Please resign so that we can be able to plan and have a proper election. The 26th is not feasible for us to have an election in this country.
All right, thank you so much. Narok Senator Ledama Olekina and Muranga Senator Irungu Kangata joining us on The Political Point this morning. It's now just about 30 minutes past the hour. Take a short commercial break here on Morning Express. Just stay with us. When we come back, we focus on your money this morning.